Can consuming beetroot juice actually help improve the efficiency of your workouts, or is it just a bunch of hype? The science behind beetroot juice is that beetroot juice is a natural source of nitrites. Nitrates are chemicals that are found naturally in certain foods, such as beetroot juice, spinach, arugula, and these nitrates are converted into nitrites, but it's nitrates. Nitrates are basically raw material for the production of nitric oxide. I've written about nitric oxide many times in Applied Metabolics. I've talked about it in previous videos. Nitric oxide was basically, it dilates blood vessels, and by doing so, it does a number of things. It lowers blood pressure and increases the delivery of oxygen in the blood to working muscles. So it could also decrease fatigue. There's been a number of studies showing that if you increase nitric oxide, you will increase the efficiency of workout by the increased delivery of nutrients and oxygen to the muscle. This led years ago to the development of so-called nitric oxide boosting supplements. Most of them are based on arginine, the amino acid arginine. They're based on arginine for a good reason, because arginine is the immediate nutritional precursor for the synthesis of nitric oxide. Let's call it nitric oxide in the blood. Nitric oxide is produced, there's 3 different nitric oxide synthesizing enzymes. The one that's found in the blood is called the endothelial nitric oxide synthase, and it's produced in the endothelium, or the lining of the blood vessels. What happens is, when you consume arginine, if it gets into the blood, as soon as it encounters an NO synthesizing enzyme, it's immediately converted into nitric oxide. Now, the problem with L-arginine is that there's an enzyme called arginase in the gut that breaks down most of the oral arginine you take in orally. I believe, if I remember, only about 40% of the I think it's 40% of ingested arginine gets into the blood, and if you're lucky, some of it will be turned into nitric oxide. Because of this, let's call it arginase barrier, they've come up with different ways to increase nitric oxide, and there's 2 other routes available. One of them involves another amino acid called citrulline. It's found naturally in watermelon and a couple of other natural foods. Citrulline it bypasses the arginase barrier in the gut. The arginase does not work on citrulline. The citrulline travels to the kidney. The kidney has enzymes which convert the citrulline into arginine. And then the arginine can make it into the blood. And once the arginine's in the blood, it's converted into nitric oxide. So that's one route. The other route is to eat foods that contain nitrates. And that's where beetroot juice and various vegetables, including, as I said, spinach is a good source, arugula, these have natural nitrate levels. And what they found is that when you consume the foods that contain nitrates, there's certain enzymes, the bacteria in your mouth secretes certain enzymes which start the initial conversion of nitrates into nitrites. So it occurs initially with enzymes that are produced by bacteria in the mouth, oral bacteria. Then it travels to the gut, where other enzymes convert the nitrates that have been converted by the oral bacteria. Now the nitrate is converted into nitric oxide by enzymes in the gut, and that's how you get it through these vegetables. So both of them are pretty efficient. There's some research showing if you use antibacterial mouthwash, some people like to use antibacterial mouthwash. Unfortunately, it kills off the bacteria that start the initial conversion of nitrate into nitrite. So you basically short-circuit it by using it. Listerine is a natural type of mouthwash that I was told by a dentist who researched this. she claims that it does not, Listerine does not kill off the beneficial bacteria that converts nitrate, initially converts nitrate into nitrite. So now there's an interesting effect is that when you take beetroot juice, as I said, it reliably converts into, the nitrate in beetroot juice reliably converts into nitrates. It usually takes about an hour and a half to 1 hour to an hour and a half. So if you're going to drink beetroot juice as an ergogenic aid, you want to drink it at least an hour and a half before you work out, because it takes a little time for these enzymes to convert the nitrate into nitrite. It has to go through several enzymes, so it takes a while. Interesting fact is they've discovered that the beetroot juice doesn't work as well in elite athletes. In other words, when they drink beetroot juice, they don't get the same ergogenic effect as, let's say, the average person in the gym, recreational exercise or whatever. And that the scientists believe the reason for that is because elite athletes have an upgraded nitric oxide system. Because of their constant activity and their extensive exercise, their body has upgraded the production of nitric oxide. So if they take beetroot juice, it's like trying to put water in a glass that's already full. It doesn't do much. Other studies, however, show that despite that, if you give athletes beetroot juice, they still get an ergogenic effect above and beyond what the body produces. A recent study wanted to look at how dietary nitrates affect muscle. So the study involved 10 participants who were given either a supplement of potassium nitrate or a placebo. An hour later, they performed thigh extensions, 60 reps. And what the researchers found is that compared to a placebo, taking nitrate before exercise, such as exists in beetroot juice, increased the muscle force of the quads or front thighs by 7%. So, one of the leading researchers who comes out with studies on beetroot juice, a guy named Andrew Jones. He's a professor of applied physiology at the University of Exeter, and he's the one that produced this study. While other studies have shown that that beetroot juice, for example, increases nitrate levels, this new study showed that it was the muscle rather than the blood nitrate levels that were the most closely related to improved muscle force production, which is very interesting. In other words, the nitrate consumed from either, let's say, potassium nitrate or from the natural nitrate in beetroot juice, it's actually more active in the muscle rather than the blood. The nitrate levels in muscle and blood peak at 1 to 3 hours following ingestion, and the levels remain high for another few hours. So, that was an interesting study. Let's see, what else can I tell you? I talked about the conversion. Let's see. I think that's about it, really. I'm going to have a lot more on... in case you're wondering what other foods contain natural nitrate besides beetroot juice and arugula and spinach. Beets themselves, of course, contain natural nitrate, rhubarb, turnip greens, dill, Swiss chard, celery, radish, watercress, kale, and lettuce. So, but beetroot juice is one of the richer sources, though. But all of these foods contain natural nitrates. And as I said, it's very good for health. Increasing nitric oxide, besides increasing the efficiency of your workouts, maintaining nitric oxide has a number of other health benefits. As a matter of fact, you might have heard that most women, very rarely have serious cardiovascular events like heart attacks or myocardial infarctions before menopause. And it's always, people have always wondered, what is it that protects women from having heart attacks? Why is it most young women very rarely have heart attacks before they reach menopause? And the obvious answer is probably related to estrogen, and that's correct. Higher estrogen levels are what protect women because estrogen keeps the women's arteries more supple. They don't get stiff. Stiff arteries are a harbinger for cardiovascular disease because they tend to involve a process called atherosclerosis, which is a narrowing the arteries. I'm not going to get into all the physiology, but that's related to the cause of a heart attack, or, and this and that. The point is, by having very flexible arteries before menopause, the estrogen protects women. But what is it about estrogen that offers the protection? And here's the part that most people don't know. Estrogen increases nitric oxide. The reason women are protected from heart attacks, generally speaking, unless a woman is just in really bad shape, eats very poorly, smokes cigarettes, drinks, and does everything wrong, then, the estrogen, forget about the estrogen. It's not going to help. I'm talking about normal women that have good health habits. They have higher nitric oxide levels. It keeps their blood pressure down, and it controls a lot of the cardiovascular risk factors. And most of all, it protects their arteries, and that's very important for prevention of cardiovascular disease. As a matter of fact, one of the three scientists that first isolated nitric oxide back in 1990, before that it was called endothelial relaxation factor, meaning scientists knew there was a substance in the blood that dilated arteries, but they couldn't identify it because it was very ephemeral, meaning that it was produced, it was a gas, it was produced and disappeared in 5 or 6 seconds. In other words, it did its job, dilated the arteries, it was gone like a ghost, so they couldn't capture it. But after a while, they figured out that the byproducts of this mysterious endothelial relaxation factor were nitrates that could be excreted out of the body. So they can tell how much nitric oxide was being produced by the level of excreted nitrates. So that's how they figured out that, about nitric oxide. And then these scientists, as I said, 1990, by measuring the nitrates excreted, they were able to figure out that the endothelial relaxation factor was actually nitric oxide. And for their work, I think it was 1996, they were awarded the Nobel Prize in Physiology, 3 scientists. One of them was a guy who worked out of UCLA here in Los Angeles, Luis Aguaro, something like that. I can't remember his exact name. But he later wrote a book for the public about nitric oxide, and particularly he pushed arginine. He felt that arginine was very important for health because it was the direct precursor for a nitric oxide synthesis. But his hypothesis in that book, remember, this is the guy who isolated nitric oxide. He felt that nitric oxide, if you are efficient in producing it, that you will actually completely prevent cardiovascular disease. He thought it was extremely protective because, again, it prevents high blood pressure, it prevents atherosclerosis, it prevents a lot of the risk factors associated with cardiovascular disease. I think that's a bit hyperbolic to say that if you maintain a high nitric oxide level, that it completely eradicates cardiovascular disease. I wouldn't go that far. However, you still have to look at younger women. Remember, as long as they're producing estrogen and sufficient nitric oxide, they just simply do not get heart attacks and strokes. So maybe there is some truth to what that guy says. So that's one of the important benefits of nitric oxide. Is also involved in hormone release, including insulin, growth hormone, and testosterone. So it has an indirect anabolic effect. So I'm going to be writing more on, I have an upcoming article in my Applied Metabolics on the truth about nitric oxide and nitric oxide supplements, exactly how they work and how efficient they are. I can't go into it in this video, there's too much information involved, but that will be in an upcoming article in Applied Metabolics. And besides that, if you want information on nutrition, exercise science, ergogenic aids, hormonal therapy, I said ergogenic, anti-aging research, effective fat loss techniques, women health and fitness, all of this is covered in Applied Metabolics, the most extensive digital publication on nutrition and fitness that's available today. It includes my over 60 years of experience and study, which can't be matched as far as I know, unless there's somebody out there that's 102 years old that's doing this. I don't think so. But anyway, The thing is that it's www.appliedmetabolics.com. It's anywhere from 30 to 45 pages each month. Solid evidence-based information, no ads, not pushing any products. I don't sneak in ads like some of these YouTube videos. You know, they start giving you information, and then they say, oh, by the way, mention this code and you get a 10% discount if you buy so-and-so vitamins. Those guys are all shills. You know, those videos, they're being paid by companies to make those videos to push their company's products. As soon as I see that, I never watch any of those guys' videos. As far as I'm concerned, they're nothing more than infomercials. Even though some of their information might be good, their primary purpose is to push products. You'll notice in my videos, I don't push any products at all because I'm not associated with any supplement company. I can't give any discounts because I'm not associated with any supplement company. And frankly, I wouldn't even want to give you any discounts because most of the supplements being pushed by these people are shit. I have a little bit more integrity than these scumbags do. But anyway, that's some of them are doctors too, which is really embarrassing. But anyway, they should know better. So, subscribe today, www.appliedmetabolics.com. When you subscribe, send me an email. I'll send you an invitation to join my private Applied Metabolics Facebook page, where each day I post new information on nutrition, exercise, and general health. I have an email portal on my Applied Metabolics webpage where current subscribers only, I don't accept unsolicited questions, can send me short questions and I'll be happy to answer them as an appreciation for their subscription to Applied Metabolics. And what else can I say? That's about it. If you want to leave any comments under these videos, feel free to do so. If you think my videos are of any value, please let others know about it. That's the only way I can, get people to subscribe, by word of mouth. I'll be the first to admit my videos are not fancy. I admit it. I mean, there's no fancy graphics, there's no cartoons, there's no dancing girls. Although I wish there was some dancing girls, but just can't do it. But anyway, all I do is give you solid evidence, useful information. Most importantly of all, it's all the truth. Everything I tell you, I guarantee you, is the absolute truth, which is very rare in most of the videos on YouTube. Most of them are just 90% bullshit. I'm going to tell you right out. Most of them are ridiculous. I admit that I look at a lot of them and I turn them off after a couple of minutes because they're just too irritating to me. They're just full of crap, most of them. I won't waste my time listening to them. So please let others know about this channel. And of course, consider subscribing to my Applied Metabolics publication, www.appliedmetabolics.com. If you want to have the best friend you'll ever have, go to your local shelter, adopt a dog. Take care.